We are back on Morning Line, our final segment this morning with Julio Rivas. He's a professor of economics at Lipscomb. It's good to have him on. And kind of comparing tough times to now to in the past. So 2007, 2008, you know, was a rough time, obviously. Those of you who remember that. I mean, it's just incredible now. You see all the building happening. I remember a year or two out, I mean, there was no building anywhere. And the poor contractors and builders, I don't know what they lived. I mean, done. Nothing was being built. But that, you say, was different. Is it because of the bank situation and loans?
I would say in that 2007, 2008 time period, we have what we call the subprime crisis, right? And there were a lot of mortgages that were given to people that were not qualified and with adjustable rates. So, you know, we were saying, you know, if your rate goes up by 1%, you end up paying an extra $10,000 a year. So, you know, what if your rate goes up by 5-6%?
Oh yeah, a lot of people were buying on those ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages, and they couldn't do it.
You know, so and that was about to collapse the financial system, right? I mean, that some big banks were in a lot of trouble, and that could have been catastrophic for the economy. You know, right now we're not seeing those issues with banks and financial institutions, right? I mean, it's some businesses here and there are having issues, you know, but that is normal. Let's say that is normal in an economy, right? And going back to the question, are we heading to a recession? Say, well, probably that is what needs to happen, right?
But you mean that we will get into that recession? We'll see it. Now, how bad is that when that happens?
Well, it is. I would say it is a normal thing. It is a normal state of the economy. I always remember one of my professors gave this explanation. In the long term, you know, whatever that means in economics, the long term growth is smooth, upward sloping, right? So we're gonna say, okay, the economy is going to grow. Now, in the short term, there are going to be ups and downs, right? We're going to be moving away from that clean upward sloping line. Sometimes we move up, sometimes we move down, you know, but that line is the target. So right now we're up, right? Right now the economy is growing at a faster rate than what it should. We have a lot of money. We are demanding more than what is being offered, you know. So that needs to cool off. Right? How do you cool off? Well, increasing interest rates, discouraging in spending. And that way you go back down, right? Now, is that a bad thing? And say, well, you know, it all depends. You know, it's you know, what is the lesser of two evils, inflation or inducing a recession? I would say, and a lot of economists think that inflation is the worst of the two evils, right? Inflation hits everyone. Inflation reduces your purchasing power. Inflation makes everyone poorer and worse off. Inflation is worse for businesses to plan. Inflation is worse for individuals to plan as well.
Okay, and whereas a recession?
A recession, well, you know, I mean, evidently, if you lose your job, well, that's bad, you know. But hopefully, you know, things will change. You will recover your confidence. You'll find something else, and but the overall economy is going to be stable.
Because the price, and that's really the trick then. So as you said, it's a gradual increase most of the time, but it's constant battling, and then every once in a while you get off on a skew like what we're on now, or back in 2007. But it's a constant balancing act for the Fed. Always, just monitoring it. Most of the time over the last decade, I mean, we've got very low interest rates. Things have seemed to have gone pretty steadily, correct? But then there's triggers, and the triggers we've already talked about then, right? Gas prices, the supply chain issues, when you had the backup coming out of the pandemic. It really, when you think about it, I mean, it's a perfect storm of things. I mean, the pandemic, you cannot minimize the impact that had coming out of it. And then the supply chain, hiring, not having the staffing, gas prices because you have a war in, you know, Ukraine. All of that combined, I mean, all of that's why we're where we're at, right?
Yeah, I would say the pandemic was probably the trigger event that made all of this happen, right? I mean, we had those stimulus checks. Businesses had to close or shrink, you know, downsize. Because of the uncertainty, right? I mean, we were talking a lot about uncertainty. Uncertainty makes us, you know, if you want to survive, well, you'd rather downsize, and you know, that also led to the supply chain issues. That led to a lot of things, right? So we're coming out of the pandemic, and suddenly we have an overheated economy.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, if you look at the history of economics, I mean, we've been here before.
Yes.
The reasons we're here may be different than ever before because the pandemic was different. So in the big picture, we know then how to address it.
Sure.
How long typically does it take for things to take hold and maybe we get back to more stabilization?
Well, I've read several articles, you know, and some of them think that within a year, you know, or within a couple of years, we should be back on track.
Okay, so it can be. I mean,
yes.
But the key here is we know what's happening and we know how to address it.
Yes.
Provided there's no other catastrophic event that occurs, be it a war or a sudden spike of the pandemic where people get sick again because there's a new strain that we did not anticipate, or barring something like that, we know how to address what we're dealing with now. Yes. Right?
That is correct. Yeah, and I think we're taking the measures to address these issues. Now, I wish we could do more with respect to gas, you know, because that is one big problem. But overall, the big picture, increasing interest rates, it's one, or if not the main way of dealing with this problem.
Yeah, and as far as addressing the gas issue, like you said, I mean, maybe trying to do more domestic pumping. Was that what you were saying? I mean, or
and refining, you know, and we need to. I mean, I know Russia supplies a lot of oil, you know, but at this point, if we don't count with that, well, we need to find a solution.
What about OPEC turning up its supply more? They haven't done much.
That would be also a very good thing. You know? Yeah. Yeah, and I read that there were talks on asking, you know, them to see if they could cooperate, but I don't know if it's in their interest, you know. And then you go into the balancing act of international diplomacy, and you know, do I want to pump more if I'm getting a lot of money from what I'm doing now? And, you know, don't forget, last year oil was pretty much declared dead last year. You know, I mean, like we were approaching, you know, cents per barrel. You know, and now, you know, it is crazy.
You think the price is still going to go up? You think we'll see increases? I mean, I don't know. People continue to have to drive. Many folks, unfortunately, have no choice.
And usually in the summer, we consume more gas than in other parts of the year. You know, so.
Well, it's just crazy when you think about how it affects. I wonder, as schools sit down to budget for next year, how they set aside money for their buses, school buses. You know, I've said a long time that I think eventually school buses will go away. It's a shame, but it's going to happen. But how you think about the money they're going to have to budget if for these buses gas is $5 or $6 a gallon come this school year?
Just think about it. I mean, if they pay twice as much for gas than what they're paying last year, I mean, that's crazy. You know, I mean,
on the budgets that education's on.
Yeah, I mean, you're operating on a very thin budget, and suddenly one of your inputs goes up by twice as much.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good example in the public sector of what a lot of the private businesses are going to face the same way. They're bringing in whatever supplies they need, and it's coming in and it's costing them more because it's the gas prices.
Oh yeah, I was looking. A friend shared this on social media. They like a container, you know, like that. From China to here a couple of years ago, I think they paid like $2,000, and now they're paying like $9,000. You know?
Really, to have something shipped from
like one of those big containers? Yeah.
Is that directly, you think, because of gasoline? Is it because
gas,
of the supply chain?
You know? And you know, if the boat needs to be on standby for a month or 2 weeks or whatnot, you know, well, that's money that they're losing, right? So they need to account for that, and how they account for it, charging you more, right?
What do you think when it hits this time like this and the prices go? What do you think it is the first thing that consumers dial back on? Is there what's the first thing that
luxury goods?
Okay, that's
whatever that is for different people.
It's so interesting. We just had a story where we're announcing that there's going to be a luxury mall opening with only high-end items, where maybe only millionaires shop. I don't know, but I mean, luxury goods are the first to go.
Sure. You know, I mean, and as I said, you know, for different people, it looks differently. You know, for some of them, you know, for some people, it might be their Netflix subscription or their Disney Plus or whatever it is. You know.
going to a Titans game, or whether or not you do your usual trip to the Gulf Coast of Florida, or if you travel. So those are the first things that go. I mean, the necessities that hopefully people are able to keep paying for, their utilities and food and any health care. Those are the ones. And when it starts getting bad enough that affects people at that level, that's where it's a big concern.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's where it becomes even more catastrophic, right?
Yes.
We're in bad shape right now, but when a lot of people are not able to pay for their health care, you know, well, that's a problem.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's gotten there. It probably has for some right now.
Yep.
You know,
and we know that has been a big issue for a lot of people for a long time, you know, but now it might be worse than before.
I see more and more people these days, when they get right to that age, taking early Social Security.
Yeah.
They don't want to stick around and wait because they want it now, or maybe they need it now, and they're not sure it's going to be there anyway when they get to the, you know, you get more if you wait for a higher Social Security age, but more people are taking it early. I don't know if they're dipping into the 401k earlier, if they have to, savings, things like that.
Well, I would say if they have to, you know, people are going to do whatever's necessary to survive, you know.
Yeah.
And we're talking about survival here, you know. It's not frivolous spending, you know. You need to stay alive, you know. So,
you know, it's interesting. Rick back there is just checking the market as we speak right now. And we say that's an indicator because GMP, it's up 452 points this morning. It was down more than 600 a couple of days ago. So that's, to me, that is a sign that yes, it's just boom, boom. I know people, when it drops 600 points, I have an investor friend that says he gets all these calls from people. And he's like, ride it, because it's going to come back up. Now, if it just keeps going 600, 600, and it bottoms out, well, then you're toast. What are you going to do?
Sure.
But it's already gone back up 400 points this morning.
Yeah, no, it's funny because, you know, in finance, we say, you know, buy low, sell high, right?
Yeah.
But if the market drops 600 and then you sell, you know, well, you're selling low, you know? I mean, you're doing exactly the opposite of the premise, you know? So
I'm doing what you said. I'm going to wait. It gets down low, and I'm going to buy more.
Yeah. No, I mean,
hopefully it gets back up.
If you can do that, yes. You know, especially if you're investing in a diversified portfolio.
Yeah, and long term. And the one key on that for a lot of folks is, as you start getting closer to retirement, that's where you want to try to time it, and hopefully you get out when the market's high.
Sure. Yes. So. I mean, and that's a hard thing to make, but you know, but be disciplined, be steady, put money every month, and
diversify.
Yes.
Julio Rivas, thank you for coming on today.
Nick, I appreciate the invite.
It's a pleasure. Safe travals to Greece on your mission, all right?
Thank you. Yes.
Perhaps we'll talk again, but thanks for coming on. And
thank you.
If there's any message I hope folks leave with on this, is that we just talked at the end about how we know what situation we're in. You know, we know what needs to do to address it, and hopefully in the next year to 18 to 24 months, things clear up. And that's the idea. Julio, thank you.
Thank you, Nick. And thanks to everyone.
Pleasure. We'll be back with a programming note right after this. Stay with us.